Welcome to Floral School. For those of you who have been following me along, the last time we were together, I told you about the green or the cool-based colours for a classic urn or design. Now the reason why I'm telling you about the colours, if you get stuck and you're thinking, oh, I don't know where to start, stick with all of one colour, one side of the colour wheel. That's why I've discussed and designed using the cool base. Right, now that that has been done, I want to now move on and show you how to work with warm toned. So we will put that down, and in due course we will put flowers into these and I will discuss all that there is to know and more about colour. Right, for a warm based design, I'm using the same type of urn. I really love this kind of urn. It's as high as it is wide and it's perfectly balanced and is perfect for this type of construction. The next thing I'd like you to do is, before you ever start, is once you've got your foam in here, do a little line through the middle and then do another line across the other side so that you've got the central point and you've got like a little cross. And what I want you to remember is whatever you do on this side, make sure that you do it on the other side. Get all of your foliage cut before you begin and have it all laid out in front of you. Let me tell you about warm based. The difference between a warm based and a cool based is one is grey, whereas this has got a bit more yellow into it, and you can tell that it is much, much warmer. Also, if you're a bit stuck, look for things like this that have got two tones. That will give you indication. If you look, really look into that little pale bit there, it's actually got a little yellow tinge about it. Right, to begin, when everything is cut, to ensure that it is all about the same length, because don't forget this is going to be a round design. And remember, I've talked about design before. All design starts with a little dot and it just expands from there. Now, what you need to do is to have all of your foliage cut to the same length, as I've already indicated, and to know that you've got the right length, what I do is I just lay it across here, and the rule of thumb is 1.5 times the height or the width of the container. As I've already indicated, this is as high as it is wide, so it is perfect for what we're going to do today. Right, starting off in one position, and the other little thing I forgot to tell you, you're not going to be taking your foliage from this point, so you actually only need it to be the length across here, because as you're not going from there, you're actually going from there, so you can get rid of that extra few inches of foliage, and it's going to make life so much easier. Right, what you do on that side, and it doesn't matter whether you're working with fresh or artificial forms. I'm using fresh because I want to actually be able to go back to these in due course. Right, because we've got foliage there, because we've got foliage there, and because I only have one piece, I'm actually now going to have to cut into there, and hopefully they're going to be about the same kind of visual weight, but actually they are not, but I think I might be able to cheat the system. So put that there, and then because I've done that there, remembering that little imaginary line, take it through to the other side. Now, I've got two big leaves. You could put two together like that, which would be a bit more modern, but because we're doing something that's classic and we're looking at the absolute basics, let's just keep with the program. So if I put that there, I need to go across to the other side. Now I've got actual visual balance, and we'll get into the different types of balance in due course. Right, from there we've got another type of foliage. Also, when you're putting your foliages together, the thing to remember is to try and get as many different complements as you can, and by that I mean different textures. So I've got this roughly sort of like spindly type of foliage beside this big fat leaf, so already I'm starting to build up this really lovely visual picture. Don't also let's forget that the eye is the most lazy thing on our whole body, and it's not our eyes that see. The eyes are just the vessels that get into the back here so that you can see where you're going. Right, we'll put that foliage into there, and then because I've done that there, that needs to go across to there. So always remember, what you do on one side, go over to the other. If you think I'm repeating myself, I need to do that because that's really important to sort of like get it in. And I was doing some research the other day, and they indicated that an adult, that's my age, needs to do something at least 22 times before it actually sinks in. Right, I've gone from there to there, and I've gone from there to there. Let's now start to bring the forms on the outside into the centre. So when you're cutting your foliage, just make sure that you leave a few bits, because the other thing that we need to look at is that transition. So what's actually happening here is a lovely transition into the centre of your container. Right, so I've got a bit there, let's put a bit there, and then let's also put a piece over there. Now, I've got one piece of fern, one on its own is lonely. I've got this lovely little rule, and it goes along the lines. One on its own is lonely, two is interesting, but three is visually exciting. And when you look at it, like if I just put one piece there, oh, hold on, wait a minute, I'll show you what I mean. Right, that into there doesn't really do anything for me because it needs to have a little mate to go with it. So we'll put another one into there, and then because I've done that there, it's just a matter of transferring to the other side. When you have just two things, another little rule, if in doubt, leave it out. Because one on its own, as I've already said, is a big waste of time. Right, now I've got this lovely stuff here that's sort of like floating down. When you've got something like this, yes, you can just use one piece of it because there's lots of things happening onto there. One on that side, let's bring another one over to that side. And because it's a round design, it needs to be even. So what we put on that side, we can put on there. Now, you wouldn't be worrying, the other thing I like to think about too is when I'm looking at my foliages and the placements, if it wants to naturally fall down, just let it do what it wants to. And it's like flowers. When we get to flowers, I'll tell you about how to put flowers in the right location. But the rule of thumb is pretty much place it as it grows. Right, I've got two pieces of maidenhair fern here. I'm going to put one piece into there. Because I've got that on that side, I need to bring that into there. And what I'm doing is I'm basically starting from the base with the heavy foliage and just gradually coming in small little increment steps of maybe a centimetre. Sometimes if it's bigger, you might have to go in a good couple of centimetres. But just keep going until the whole thing has been filled out. Right, let's look at this type of form, this hanging amaranthus. I love things like this because it could be a flower or it could be a foliage. And see how it's just falling down? That is going to start to pick up with what I've done there. So we've got something that's hanging down, it's got a straight stem, and then it's got this lovely green that just goes puffy out there. And now we've got this which is rougher, and that just like falls down. So the two combinations of forms are what we are looking for. And once you've got this mastered, you will be fine. Right, I've only got three pieces of this. The rule is to put it in as if it was a triangle. So from that position there, around to this position here, equal distance between those 2 points. This one will go into here, and you should have equal or thereabouts. And let's not forget, nature is the best colorist and the best at producing these lovely textures. Don't fight with nature, just let it be. Now, the other thing I wanted to put into here is these look at this, lovely wiggly stuff. Give that a wee bend and put that into there. And look what's now starting to happen from that line, from that little point there. It's all starting to sort of like move out and give a little bit more of a dimension, and also to make it look a little bit more modern. Now with these can be twisted down, or you can do whatever you wanted to do with those. You're probably looking at this and thinking, oh, she hasn't left herself much room. I've got plenty of room, because let's just remember that the flowers are going to sort of nestle on top and in amongst the flowers, and we want to, because I've already said that the eye is very lazy, we want to make the eye do all of the things that we want it to do, because we are the artists. Right, that can go into there. Because I've put that into there, let me just bring that into there. Right, this also is another lovely form to be using, and you can tell that it's a warm base foliage because it's lovely and lime green. That means that there's more green, more yellow in this than what there is the blue. So when it comes to putting things like this and put it into little clusters and groups, and I'm nearly finished, and it will be time in a second to get the other one beside it so that we can just go over what I've said about warm and cool based foliages into a container. And actually this is the basing in. Right, from there, that's that one, over to here, there we have two. Cool based, greys into the blues, more blue in it, colder. Here we have the warm based, yellower, warmer to the eye. When I come back, we're going to look at the types of flowers and the colours to make this just be zippity-doo-dah, and also this. And before I leave you, the foliage should be really interesting before you move on to the next step. See you again soon.